Welcome back to another collection tour. This time is going to be a very small video because we're going to talk about my 4K collection, which is very limited. In fact, there's 22 titles here, not a lot. I'm not big into 4K as yet, and the biggest stumbling block for me so far is price point. It is just a little bit too pricey for me. I made a decision that 4K should genuinely be movies I utterly love and adore. Things that I'm going to rewatch constantly, things that are firm favourites of mine that I want to experience in that kind of quality. Initially, there was a couple of movies I bought that didn't really fall into that just because they were good bargains, and I had to kind of shake myself out of that. Just because it's a good deal on 4K doesn't mean I need to have it. Fortunately, the kids, when they're buying me movies, sometimes they know that I want the highest quality and they get me a 4K movie, which is why I ended up with Welcome to the Jungle in 4K Jumanji, which I do genuinely kind of like. It's a fun movie, one that I watch with the kids often. I think it was a great kind of reimagining of the Jumanji series, and one that I do enjoy. I don't know if I would have went and bought it on 4K myself, but I have it. It's in the collection. It's part of my smallish collection so far. Next up, we've got one of my favourite westerns ever, Clint Eastwood as William Money in Unforgiven. I love this movie. I'm a huge fan of Clint Eastwood's westerns. I love this directorial movie that he did. He stars Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman. They're all amazing. I think it's a terrific movie. If you haven't seen it, I think it's one that you must own, you must have in your collection. It's that good a film, and you can get it in quite a lot of like 2 for $20 deals just now, I believe, which is a bargain price really. Next up, we have John Wick, which I just love John Wick. From the moment it came out, I thought it was immensely funny because they stripped away all the pretense of why they need an action movie and gave this guy such a ridiculous plot. You kill my dog, I'm going to kill your entire gang. It's just bonkers, ludicrous. I like that they embraced that. I like that that's the route they went. That silly kind of storyline, just to unleash this fantastic action world. Which of course led us to John Wick 2, which was a little bit more frenetic, a little bit longer, a little bit more action packed. I don't have part 3 as yet, but I feel that part 3 is the best in the series and part 2 may not be. I bought a bunch of movies at the time because there was a buy so many movies get money off, and they cross promoted it by mistake, so it was buy certain movies get money. So I ended up buying, just to cut a long story short, ended up buying about 6 movies and ended up paying about £6 each for them, and the John Wick movies were part of that, as was Unforgiven. I have got Trainspotting II here, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I was a little bit wary about a sequel to one of my favourite movies ever, and when it came out, it ticked all the boxes for me. That look back at your history, looking back at the bad times with a certain kind of fondness, the nostalgia of the moment, the sudden realisation of people have moved on, some people haven't, some people are stuck in a rut, and how easy it is to slip in to those bad habits and amongst those friends once more. I think Trainspotting 2 is absolutely marvellous, and nobody's going to tell me any different. I picked up The Bridge on the River Kwai because, well, I'd never seen it, and it was in HMV as, $9.99 with any other purchase, so I picked it up then, and I still haven't watched it, so I'm the bad guy here. Next up, we have got Annihilation from Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina. I really like Annihilation. I think it's a wonderful movie. It looks amazing on 4K, has that haunting bear sequence that everybody mentions. Can't talk about Annihilation without it. I think it's really twisted and smart. I love the finale of it. I like all the movie. So much so that even though it's on Netflix, I still went and bought the 4K disc because I wanted it in my collection. Next up, it was another bargain. I got the Avengers 3 movie collection for £20, I think it was. I still need to pick up the fourth, but for me, Infinity War is the best Avengers movie. Yeah, I just utterly love that movie. I like the idea of Thanos as being the bad guy. I like that the bad guy wins, which is a really nice idea in this movie, and it's just wonderful. Next up, we've got Tarantino's latest Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Another HMV bargain price. It was $9.99 with any other purchase. I had to get it at that because it had only been out a few weeks at that point. I really like this movie. I think there is amazing moments in it. Everything with DiCaprio and Pitt is pure gold. Everything with Margot Robbie is utterly pointless, needless, and detracts from the overall movie. You take away her half hour that she has and let me see a half hour of these guys in Italy making those kind of movies that I love. This would be top tier Tarantino rather than bottom tier for me just now, because of that unnecessary elements that it has. Next up, one I just reviewed on the channel, Stand By Me, an eternal classic. I absolutely love this movie. It is a kind of epitome of what my collection 4K will probably become. 80s classics that I grew up loving. I can see that penetrating all the way through my collection. It's going to be 80s horror, it's going to be horror, and it's going to be 80s classics for me. Stand By Me looked stunning. Probably one of the best 4K discs I've seen, or what I've noticed. And it's a classic. It's a movie that when you put on, you just get enveloped by. It's 90 minutes of pure, utter magic on celluloid. I love it. Utterly amazing. Next up, we've got the wonderful Blade Runner, the final cut. Don't know how many more cuts we're going to see. I love Blade Runner. I think it's an immense movie. I think it's one that leads to lots of discussion as well. Visually striking, and on 4K looks amazing. And of course, if you're looking for visually striking Blade Runner movies, you can do no wrong with 2049, the sequel where it actually lived up. It felt like part of the same universe. It had that same idea about pace, punctuated with these brilliant action set pieces, visually just striking in so many ways. Utter wonderful movie. One of my favourite Scorsese movies, Goodfellas. This is another one of those movies that it's quite long, but it zips by, and when you put it on, you are captivated. It is mesmeric in the way it grabs you and does not let you go. The movement of the camera, the quick pacing, the brutality in certain scenes, the camaraderie of these characters just make me want to revisit this world constantly. One of my favourite movies of recent years, Mad Max Fury Road, and it's another stunning 4K disc. This is one of those movies that epitomises its genre. It is an action movie, and it is action from start to finish. Inventive, unique, different. I can watch it repeatedly and it just never loses any of its lustre for me. Utterly stunning, wonderful characters, just a complete unique movie that is utterly delightful. Next up, another 80s classic for me, and that is Die Hard. This is going to be the only one that I get on 4K, unless I can pick up maybe part 3 at a really good price, because I do like With a Vengeance. This is a movie that, again, for me was one of my favourite action movies, possibly pipped by Mad Max, but I love the way that every kind of thread in this one is tied up in a nice, neat little bow. Everything is finished off expertly well. It's just wonderfully done. Die Hard is 80s classic, an amazing movie. One of my favourite movies that I whenever I do lists, I forget how much I love it until I'm watching it, and that is Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Gary Oldman gives the best performance of Dracula ever on film. The way the movie looks is delightful. I even can get by with Keanu Reeves' accent in this one. It's wonderfully twisted, it's beautiful, stunning, the sets, the costuming, the way it plays with shadows. It's such a delight of a movie. One of my favourite action adventure movies is The Mummy. The special effects don't hold up too great, especially in 4K, they look a little bit ropey. This is a movie I watch once a year. I think it is utterly delightful. The closest we came to an Indiana Jones feeling kind of movie. Sequels really do suck. I'm only going to have this one on 4K. That's all I need. Next up, a couple of Vinegar Syndrome Region 1 movies, and that is Tammy and the TRex. That's the lenticular side and the other cover. This is one of the most stunning 4Ks I've ever seen. It has no right to be as good as it is, but that's what Vinegar Syndrome do. Take movies that don't deserve this kind of 4K treatment and give them this specialised treatment. Incredibly silly movie, but incredibly playful with it as well. You know, you hear the plot, you can go with it or not. A girl's boyfriend is killed, a mad scientist plants his brain into an animatronic T-Rex. Hilarity and blood ensue. Denise Richards, Paul Walker, it's fun, it's campy fun, but which is just pure unadulterated fun for me. Another Vinegar Syndrome title is Rad, which is a kind of BMX movie, which is just so much fun, directed by Hal Needham, the man that did Smokey and the Bandit and Cannonball Run type of movies. It's just incredibly fun. Small town guy, there's a big BMX competition coming to town. He gets to take a wild card part in it. Everybody's against him. Doesn't want him to win. The town is kind of rallying behind him. Will he do it? Will he not? It's just so much fun with a great score soundtrack all the way through it. I'd never heard of this movie until it came out this year. I utterly loved this thing. And last is a movie that I have bought, I don't know how many times in my life. I'll say it's the last time I'm going to buy it, but ultimately if they bring out another edition, I'm probably going to pick that up as well. And that is Evil Dead 2, one of my favourite movies of all time. And this is a steelbook edition of this movie that I jumped on straight away. I've kind of leaned away from steelbooks. It's not something I'm really interested in anymore, but just having this one as a collector's item was something that I was interested in. And I have that collector's compulsion where I probably won't open it, and if I want to see it in 4K, I'll probably buy another copy of it, because I'm that much a fan of these movies and I don't want this to lose any of its value by opening it. It's a crazy mindset. You don't have to tell me. I already know. I know my brand of crazy. I just can't shake it off. Evil Dead 2 is just utterly delightful, wonderful, a real treat of a movie. If you haven't seen it, you should do yourself a favour and check it out. It's great, and that is it. That's my small collection of 4K. There'll be more coming soon, because I am delving more and more into it. I just feel that the price point is a little bit tricky. Knowing that they're universal and you can buy them from any country is making things easier. Recently, the Hitchcock 4-pack movie is coming out. In the UK, it's £60. The Italian copy I ordered for £27, which the dichotomy between these prices just I can't justify. So I went with the Italian version on that, and I've got that coming in. I like a look of a lot of the 80 movies that are coming out. The Goonies, Beetlejuice. These are the kind of movies that I must have in my 4K collection. I'm going to make it very curated, like I said. There's other ones that I've seen as well. As soon as I get any kind of funds, I'm going to get, like the Karate Kid, Ghostbusters. These are the kind of movies that I grew up with, the kind of movies that I want in my collection. Groundhog Day as well is another one that really I need to have at some point. I want to know, what kind of movies are you going to curate within your 4K collection? What kind of movies do you feel passionate about that you want to have in 4K? Are you going to buy everything and anything? Or are you going to be a little bit more selective about it because of the price constraints? I'd love to know your opinion. And of course, if you haven't done so, why not hit the like button? It makes me feel good about myself. makes me feel good about doing these videos. And if you haven't done so, subscribe as well. Maybe these kind of videos are the fun, the little bit of effort going into them. Maybe this is going to earn your subscription this time. I do hope so. And if you're really feeling supportive, no pressure, you can support this channel for just £1, $1 or €1 on Patreon. It will be one of the first links in the comment box. I would love if you would support me. It really gives me that little pat in the back and lets me pay some of the bills. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.